Hello, PD Buzz readers. My name is Claire McLean. I'm a physical therapist here in Orange County, and I specialize working with people who have Parkinson's. I'm here to share a little bit about physical therapy and exercise for you. Just quickly about me, I chose to specialize working with people who have Parkinson's because the research is so compelling. There is so much potential of exercise to have a huge impact for someone and help improve their quality of life, change their motor and non-motor symptoms, and also possibly slow the progression of the disease. This is not something that's proven, but I do think it's something that's possible, and hopefully at some point in time we'll have research to prove it. But in the meantime, it doesn't hurt to try. So I did start having experience and working with people with Parkinson's and seeing them improve and reading the research, and it just made too much sense. And so I really have enjoyed working with people with Parkinson's and seeing people improve despite having a progressive neurologic condition. And my goal really is to increase the opportunities and accessibility for exercise in Orange County for people who have Parkinson's. And help people get access to the individual therapy as well as group exercise classes that will really help them do the best. Physical therapy can help people with Parkinson's in many ways. So early in the diagnosis, you may have very mild symptoms, or it may even be that medication really helps those symptoms a lot. But we know that exercise is very important for overall health, and it's very important for people with Parkinson's. There's quite a bit of evidence that supports how much exercise can help with symptoms. And so when someone is first diagnosed, it's ideal to see a physical therapist to have a baseline assessment and to test your balance and flexibility and mobility and symmetry side to side, see where your areas of strength are and where there are areas where there's room to improve, because the earlier you get started on those things, the better. If you wait until it's a more apparent problem, it can be more challenging to improve. And we'll be looking at things like coordination and flexibility, muscle length, strength, balance, and then how we put that all together for how we move. So a lot of times, even recently after diagnosis, people will report some changes with movement, like difficulty moving around in bed and some things like that. And we can help with those things in therapy. And then we also can utilize our assessments to see if there are any areas specifically that we need to work on. And if so, we can develop a specific exercise plan so that that person can work on those things. And we also want to help people get started overall with an exercise plan. And so that may be more of a general exercise program, or it may be very specific based on the needs of that person. So that's why it's important to go to individual therapy, is to find out what are those things that you need to work on and get started on them as early as possible. And then even though I hate to say that there's a commitment to physical therapy and other therapies like occupational therapy and speech therapy over time, I would say really the best results for people are when they get started with a therapist early on, get started on a program, and then meet with that therapist on a somewhat ongoing basis over time. So it may be you go once for a bout of therapy, and then you check in again in about 6 months and see how things are going. Are you following through with your exercise program? Do you have questions? Do you need some new ideas to make those exercises more challenging, keeps things interesting? Maybe you can go as long as a year, but then I would definitely recommend you get back into therapy, retest, and check and see how you're doing so that you can be proactive and really take your health into your own hands. There's a lot that people with Parkinson's can do for themselves, and exercise is one of the biggest things that can be helpful. But for a lot of people, they aren't sure what to do or how to do it or where to go. So working with therapists can really help get you started on the right path. And then those therapists can be a resource as you go forward. If something comes up or if you have an injury, you can go back in, get physical therapy to address that injury, and then kind of tweak your Parkinson's program as well. So this is someone you now have as a resource over the long term, which is extremely helpful if things come up or if you have questions. Or if you're just doing really well, then that's great. We can test and measure and keep you going and make sure that things stay going well. Physical therapy is helpful no matter where someone is in the disease spectrum. So if someone has had Parkinson's longer, exercise, I would say, if anything, just becomes more and more important for how people feel during the day and for keeping them active and mobile and being able to do the things that they want to do throughout the day and stay functional, improve balance, and maintain these things over time. And even in later stages of Parkinson's, physical therapy can be very helpful as well. Again, to work on exercise and help people figure out what they can do, maybe even working with family members or caregivers to help people stay active and figure out if there's any equipment or assistive devices that would be helpful. So physical therapy as well as occupational and speech therapy can be very beneficial across the course of the disease. Our goal, I'd say overall, is to get people in as early as possible to start with therapies, so that we can be really proactive and hopefully have an impact on the progression of Parkinson's, hopefully slow it down and keep people really active for their entire life. That's my goal, is get started early and get people as active and healthy as possible and then keep them that way. Things that I have learned that I think are really important, consistency is one, and it's very difficult to be consistent with exercise. There are a lot of barriers. I'm not going to pretend that this is easy. It's difficult for me to follow through and do the exercise I should be doing for my health. I understand that it is difficult for people. So when you work with a therapist who can help educate you on the benefits and how important it is and help show you those exercises and hopefully show you that when you do them consistently, you get better, and then that will motivate you to continue. But also you may need to figure out if you need a workout buddy or sign up for a class to attend. There's lots of ways that you can help yourself, but the more consistent you can be, the better. There's some data from Dr. Mishley, who's a naturopath up in Seattle, who's doing a large study called the CAMCARE study, looking at complementary and alternative medicine. And she has data showing that in terms of frequency of exercise, that if people report that they're exercising 2 or less days per week, it doesn't really seem to have any impact on Parkinson's. I would say some exercise is better than no exercise at all, but if you're really trying to have an impact on Parkinson's, there's probably a threshold, a certain amount and intensity of exercise that you have to reach to really see the benefits. So if you're exercising 2 or less days per week, you may not really be noticing any benefit. Once people get to 3 days per week of exercise, they started to notice a significant improvement in how they felt and how they moved, and each additional day up to 7 days a week of exercise had additional benefits. So this is where working with a therapist really helps. If you are just starting on an exercise program, you may not be sure exactly what to do and at what intensity and how frequently and for how long, so we can help you figure that out and get started on a plan and troubleshoot and problem solve any things that come up, help you figure out what the barriers are to exercise and figure out the solutions to those barriers, and then help keep you accountable. Another thing that's really helpful is participating in group exercise classes, which we have here at Rogue Physical Therapy and Wellness, and there are multiple locations in Orange County, which you can check the PD Buzz website for more information about the classes that are available to you. I think classes can be extremely helpful. It helps you be motivated, you build friendships with the people in the class. There are people expecting you to come. You go there, you know it's going to be interesting. There are going to be challenges and things you haven't done before. And then if you're measuring your balance or things over time, hopefully you see that it improves with participation in very consistent exercise. So consistency is one of the most important things. Community is one of the most important things. Having a group of people who understand what you're experiencing and can help share the tribulations, but also the triumphs that you experience, and hopefully you see others improve, which is very inspiring and motivating, and then you can be an inspiration and motivator to other people. So there's a lot of really powerful things that happen when you participate in group exercise settings and in groups and different things that we have in Orange County. So I'd really highly recommend that. Also, what I see as being very important for exercise, though, is flexibility. So consistency, you want to have a plan, but then also know that life happens and certain days may be busy, depending on how you slept the night before or how your medications are working. You may not be able to do exactly what you wanted to do when you wanted to do it. And so then being able to be flexible and having a backup plan. If you aren't able to attend a certain class, what can you do instead? And that's one of the things we've really tried to implement here at Rogue, is both by having quite a few classes 5 days a week currently. If someone misses a class, there's often a class they're able to come to later in the week to make up. And then we also have aerobic exercise equipment and space so that if someone isn't able to make it to a class, they can still come and do a workout that day or the following day, so that I can really help people get in as much exercise as possible. In my opinion, the things that make the biggest difference to help slow the progression of Parkinson's are optimal medications, working closely with a movement disorders neurologist and making sure you're on the right type of medication, the right dosage, with the right timing, and that you're aware of any potential side effects or interactions. And then that's really being proactively managed, I think, is one of the most important things. And that's something that you really have to work closely with your neurologist on. Often the first prescribed dosage and frequency and timing of the medications may not be optimal. So you really want to track how you're feeling, how you're doing, have family members and friends help you with that, and then take that information to your neurologist so that things can be tweaked so that you can really feel the best you possibly can so that you can exercise consistently, because that, of course, is extremely important. The frequent exercise, so really trying to make sure that you're exercising every day for at least 30 minutes, and that some of that exercise, not every single day has to be high intensity, but there definitely should probably be at least 3 days a week that are high intensity, where you're really pushing yourself, breaking a sweat. Other days can be more of a moderate intensity, and variability in your program is very important too. So different types of exercise. And that's one thing I find for people who have been exercising consistently, they often do a certain type or maybe a couple types of exercise, maybe running or cycling or yoga. And all of those are great forms of exercise. The best program, though, is diverse. So it has aerobic exercise, it has skill-based exercise, it has mind-body exercise. It has all of these things mixed in, and that's what helps keep your brain interested in what it's doing. It helps your body move in different ways, keeps things novel and interesting, and allows you to work on a whole bunch of different things that are all very important. So that exercise is key, and working with a physical therapist on a one-on-one basis to really optimize that program and push yourself for your home exercise program in terms of what you're doing is very important. Diet and nutrition can play a huge role. There's research out there now looking at how diet can impact the progression of Parkinson's, and some simple things just like making sure that your digestion is good and is moving consistently and you don't have constipation. So the more fruits and veggies you eat, so that you have enough fiber so that you can really just keep your bowels moving, that's going to help you feel better, move better. It's going to help your medication work better. There's a lot of benefits to eating enough fiber. And ideally, you want to eat fiber from whole foods, not necessarily from supplements. When you eat it from a whole food source, it also comes packaged with all the other really healthy things like antioxidants and other nutrients that come in fresh fruits and veggies. So you really want to try to have high volume of that in your diet. And there are other nutrition and dietary guidelines from Dr. Mishley and others who are looking. So that's something that I don't have time to get into too much in terms of detail here, but it's something I'm really interested in. So if you're interested in more information about that, check out our website. We have a couple pages on nutrition. You can also email us as well. Sleep is extremely important. So if you are having difficulty with sleep, that is really something to bring up with your neurologist. Identify what is going on. Are you having trouble falling asleep or staying asleep? Are you having restless legs or other symptoms that are keeping you awake? What's going on? Because it's very important to get a healthy amount of sleep, which is probably somewhere between 6 to 8 hours per night. And if you are consistently sleep deprived, that can be very, very difficult on your system. So sleep is super important. You want to be proactive, talk to your neurologist, maybe get a sleep study, and do some reading, get some resources to see what else could be helpful in that area. Social life is extremely important. So that's, again, where exercise classes can be great, but many other ways to be social is extremely important for overall health and for brain health. So you want to push yourself a little bit outside your comfort zone and make sure you're maintaining those relationships with your friends and family and making some new friendships and, meeting other people who have Parkinson's so that you have a group of people that really understand what you're experiencing and can help support you. And then last one I would say would be brain training. So physical exercise can be very good for brain training, but then I would also recommend incorporating some actual brain training. Things like Sudoku and pen and paper things can be great, but something like brainhq.com can be even better. It's a research-based brain training program that's available online. There's quite a few research studies and a lot of really interesting results showing benefits not only to how well you can play games online, but that it actually translates and generalizes to real life. Things like driving skills, healthcare costs, there's some really interesting data. So if you are interested in more information about that, let me know. And I just kind of wanted to summarize all this with saying, please be proactive. See a physical therapist. If you have trouble finding one in your area, let me know. It's ideal to see a physical therapist who specializes in Parkinson's whenever possible. And if there isn't one who specializes in Parkinson's in your area, let them know that it's something they can get trained in. There are courses that they can take. There are a lot of resources. I'd be happy to communicate with any physical therapists who are looking to learn more and specialize in that area, or even just to get super competent. So even if it's not their own specialty, they're able to really help people a lot. So I'm happy to communicate. We do trainings for physical therapists, occupational therapists, and fitness professionals. We'll be hosting courses here in 2020, so people can look out for that. See a physical therapist, be proactive, work closely with your neurologist, believe that you can do well and be healthy and active for your entire lifespan with Parkinson's, and then put in the work to do that. So if you have any questions, please call us. Our number here is 714-276-3992. Email info@roguept.com or claire@roguept.com. Our website is roguept.com. And we're here in Fountain Valley. If you want to come and see our new location, I'll send a little video with a tour as well, so you can check it out. Hope to meet you soon or see you if we've met before.